Yeah, you're gonna have to share it. I don't have I'm
I
doing it
got
from my phone, but boy, mm. Let the people get in here. Um,
you. Man, I know they gonna be in
man,
the comments active tonight. Whew.
I have a saying, man, and I've always said this to players. I've never aimed it anywhere else, but if you listen to fans, you're gonna find yourself becoming a fan faster than you expected to become one. Now
Freddie,
I
I
came on
ain't
this.
got
I
words.
came on this instant reaction, and I said something very potent. I said something during the game. I said something on Sports Day, and I told people very candidly, you have to find a way to play both. 133 passing yards against an FCS opponent.
Crazy.
Now there
And
were drops. We can blame that, but there were a lot. There were also misreads.
yeah,
You had 194 yards rushing. We were inside the red zone numerous times. We were on the 1 yard line.
mm-hmm.
They drove 97 yards. And a FCS school drove 90. Now, it was tons of penalties, but that's besides the point. They drove 97 yards and scored.
Can't happen, man. It's crazy, man. Listen, and I woke up to the call from you. I go to sleep in the third. We had a long day. I go to sleep in the third. I didn't like what I saw before I fell asleep, but I thought we was gonna pull it out. Then to wake up to this, shoot, this episode is scared straight for me. It's crazy.
This is the wildest. The wildest thing about all of this is, as a fan base, you can't be critical of anything and not get said that you don't like somebody. And that's the problem. The fan base and the players and the coaches are worried about being liked. Who don't like me? Oh, this person don't like me. This person said something about me. If you don't like what's being said, do something to change the damn conversation.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
I
Facts.
said last year, and all I did was critique 3-6. And you would have thought that I said Mike Norvell is a racist, or Mike Norvell is this, or Mike Norvell is that. When the proof was in the pudding right there. It's not that he's not a. It's not that he's not a. He's a bad coach. It just was. It was a bad coach that season, and he would attest to that. He took ownership for the loss today, but that's what you're supposed to do as a coach. But like we lost to a team that got their asses whooped last week. That is so far from the standard that I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
There was no energy. It was a flatness that I would excuse for the first quarter. But all you needed was a touchdown to put them away. But again, you did. You had an ESPN special. You had everything but focus. McKenzie didn't lose. The team lost a close game to Notre Dame. They didn't win. There was no need to have all of that pomp and circumstance over a close loss. Like it's cool. We can be happy about making progress,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't a win. Like, and it wasn't a good performance. 5 for 7 for 40 something yards, and 40 of the yards came in the first drive. Is not a good performance. No matter what your emotions in your heart tells you. again, fan is short for fanatic. Fans get to make emotional, erratic, argue dumbass comments in the message boards, not knowing 90% of what they see. We, as those who have been initiated, those who have actually done it and played it, don't get to do that shit. Those who coach it don't get to do that shit. You play the best 11 no matter what you think. And yes, if that was what the best 11 were, then we are terrible because you call plays based upon the personnel that you have, and that was not the play calls that we saw against Notre Dame the week before. That was terrible. And you put up numbers and you put up stats, but man, woof,
Man,
man.
I don't. This is definitely one of the worst losses I don't witness in program history. Man, Phew. Bro, I'm still trying to piece this together. Like I told you, I woke up to this, man. Like, how does this happen? We gotta
Right.
walk through this from the first through the fourth because I saw all the way up through the third. I'm trying to figure out the breakdown that happened from the third to the end of the game.
Okay. Well, the first quarter, you got the Keyshawn drop. I mean, offensively, we ran a lot of hitches. And when we did take our shots, man, we had some drop. We haven't had this at Florida State. We had it a brief period when you played,
Mm-hmm.
and then winning that national championship. But we're known for the wide receivers that go up and get the ball um, during the dynasty eras. You know, we've shifted away from that. So the tough catches that can bail a quarterback out weren't being made. The easy layup catches weren't being made either. A couple big time drops, but really, like you had a couple drops from Parchment. You had a drop from I believe it's Jordan Wilson, the big tight end. Um, Tough to catch those passes when you know you're about to get folded up. But if you go back and you watch the film, look to the left. Somebody's wide ass open. You can't. We were eyeing down and staring down guys, and you know, finally got. I think you said you missed the third quarter.
I missed. I I cut it
Did you
off.
see
I
the
fell asleep
interception?
with like I don't think I seen the interception. Like I literally like I was and it was 17-7. And then when you called me, I looked at the score when you called me. I don't know. I just ain't feel like something. Then I looked at the score. I was like, "Yo, what happened?" I don't know,
I was sitting there
man.
with my son who had a blast, had a great time, man, and
That was a great
it was
time.
just outside of the loss. I mean, he was loving it. Like he saw, we got a chance. I mean, he got to see the game from a different perspective. So I mean,
Yeah,
the game day experience. Not
yeah,
everybody can go and take their kid through the locker room, and he got to walk into the tunnel that they have, and he got to be on the field for pregame, and he got a chance to do a lot of things that other people couldn't do. But like he's watching it, he was hurt. He couldn't believe it. Um, like I talked about the 97-yard drive for the touchdown, but damn, dude, it was literally the last play of the game. They did not let the guy get behind him, but they let a guy. There was two guys over there, and he just made a catch, and then he made a miss. He made a move. There was like, and he covered like I think like 10 yards to be able to get into the end zone. An FCS player played with more heart than our D1 guys, and it. I've said these things, man. There's good coaches. Good coaches can be bad in different places. Mario Cristobal is considered a good coach right now. He was putrid at FIU. but he's a good coach right now. He's got those guys on track. He's got a big upset against Ohio State. Like, you got to call a spade what it is, and it just hasn't been a good product. And the crazy part is the standard in which FSU fans have now laid out says this is a fireable offense. You so this happened. We were in this exact same position 2 years ago. We lost to Boise. Shouldn't have lost to Boise. Had every chance to beat Boise. We almost lost to this Jacksonville State team. They missed an extra point. We win the game. Except for we lost. And then after that, every week, every message board, fire tagger, fire this, fire that. Now, we can't do that. We shouldn't do that. But like, it just shows you again from an administrative standpoint on that attitude reflects leadership. And I love Miss Mary Coleman, the AD's wife. Without her, I wouldn't have been at Florida State with the CARE program. I actually have the utmost respect for our athletic director as an accountant and a politician. But you made a decision based off of what the fan base told you, and not what was right fiscally or contractually for the program. You were worried about killing recruiting, lose to an FCS, go 3-6, and then lose to an FCS program and going 0-2 the next season. That's how you kill. That's not just how you kill recruiting. That's how you kill your program, because now you're in a situation where you can't even get out of that. We can't. Like, I don't think you don't, because here's what you don't do. You don't fire a coach under 3 years anyway. If you fire a coach in under 3 years, all you're doing is setting up to fire the next coach in 3 years. Eventually, you got to let somebody be able to establish something with some continuity. But fiscally, we aren't in a position to where we can pay multiple buyouts, and we can't keep showing people that we don't have anything. You got to rebound, and it's tough to rebound when you're causing friction. And I say the fans, because the fan base picked who our quarterback was. I believe the coaches had a plan about who the quarterback was going to be or how they were going to play the quarterback situation. They were going to play both, and I have no problem with that. But you've been practicing Travis most of the week, and then you put Milton in. And again, it's not saying that I don't know who's the better one. I think we still need time they need time to develop. I think we still need that next great quarterback at FSU. But that wasn't it. And if you think that's it, you are being entrenched because of troll culture. 133 yards against an FCS school is not it. We had 194 yards rushing. 194 yards rushing. And we went away from it. And it wasn't because we didn't throw the ball. We threw the ball. We just didn't play. Now, yes, the defense messed up in the last play. They deserve to be ridiculed and critiqued. But a defense, anytime a defense holds a team for, what was it? I mean, again, it's 15, 30. For 59 minutes, the defense held a team to two scores. For a majority of the game, they held them to one score. All you had to do was score offensively, and the game would have been over. And we had our chances. We got cute, and we didn't do it, man. So, I mean, that's kind of basically taking you from first quarter to the end. It's just we never got our rhythm. But again, my bad. Admin permeates to the coaching staff right now, which permeates to the players. There's no true There's no true consistency on what the standard is. And the problem is you put yourself in a position, it's kind of like being a parent, right? If you don't discipline your children consistently, you put yourself in a bad spot because once you say something is the stand isn't up to par or the standard, and then and, and then you go against it, like you put yourself in a position where you can't go against it. So, but what are your thoughts on what you did watch? And what was
Man,
your thoughts when you woke up to it, man?
you already know what I thought when I woke up. I said, "This some bullshit, man." Like you called me, and I looked at the scope, and I heard it in your voice. I looked at the scope. I was like, "Bro, how does this happen?" And it's unacceptable. Like a loss like that, Florida State, when like you said, coming off a 3-6 year, and then after last week where it looked like it was promised, and I was kind of worried going into the game because part of me was like, was that Notre Dame team when I saw what they were doing against Toledo? Were they just having an off week, or were they just not as good as people thought they were? And then we get into the game and struggle early on. I'm like, man, either last week was a fluke, Notre Dame wasn't that good, or it's a combination of both. Because we looked bad the whole entire game when I was watching. Even when we took a lead, it was sloppy. Like it was a slow game. And I thought at some point, even when we got the fumble with when JSU was taking all the momentum and we got that fumble recovery, 23, I forgot his name. But when we got that, I'm thinking at that point we're gonna take over. But we still, even with that, we kept them in the game. And that's something that you cannot do when you're trying to rebuild the standard. Like after last week, we didn't win. But last week, it's crazy how we transition now into this week after having all this confidence, thinking we had all this momentum, and then this is the outcome we get. It's absolutely gut-wrenching.
Yeah, man. Shoot. I, man,
I was looking at the highlights, and it's just you see everything that's happening, but you still can't put it into words, man. Like, how does this happen? This can't happen. Like, just like you said, man. Last week we had a big win with the recruits, but ain't no telling what things go now. I'm scared of some of the top guys we got in. Like, it crossed my head. I'm like, yo, we might lose one of our biggest guys after this. That was just tough. And you hate to say it, but guys, man, what are they going into right now? Like what we seen today, guys are hurting their careers with the result that we seen today. So how are we gonna keep these recruits? So I don't know. This gonna be tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's wild. It's not good. And there's some really good comments, and rightfully so type comments. Um, you know, even in the run game, like Toa Feely, sometimes like one of the things is sometimes in the run game you don't have it that night. And you gotta go who does. Trayshawn Ward and Corbin are your two guys that have been last game and this game have been your hot hands. You have to consistently just keep putting the ball in their hands and stop trying to force somebody else in if it doesn't work. I I if they lose Travis, man, and you know what? It's the troll. Again, what hurts more is that I don't want to be right. about things. I want what I had today. I want my son to be able to go to a game, have a good time, see a win, become a Florida State fan, indoctrinate him. I want those things, but it's all or nothing. And the problem is you guys took control in your own, and now your owner about to some of you, your owner about to eat you alive, and then the rivals are going to eat you alive because you have nothing else to go on besides, and you can't formulate an articulate football argument. And you guys created this dark side bullshit, light side bullshit, because a couple guys had questions. And now, and those guys are trolls. Now you know it's going to be dominating the damn timeline. And you know your only defense and your only excuse is going to be a loser remark. You act like you want to see our program lose. No, they have every right to critique and say the things that they say because we've given them, because that's what the product dictates. And sometimes you got to take it. And if this is the truth, you see this comment I just posted up?
Yeah, that's dead. They say they
And,
and this is that's
and this
losers
is what I'm
looking.
talking about right here. This is that bullshit. This is a loser mentality. Anytime you feel better about a loss than you do about than you do about a win, man, that's right. And my bad, dog. You're right, guys. You're all right. That was Louisiana Monroe, not Jacksonville State. My fault on that one, man. Um, like, yeah, yeah. But the biggest thing is this. All right, so let's go. Let's go with some good, bad. Right now, we gotta go good, bad, and ugly, and then let's just talk about. I have some. I'm going to end this thing with some hope. I want to end it with some historical hope. But boy, oof. So what are your good? What are your goods? Yeah,
My
Freddie.
good to 194 yards rushing. That's good. You can't never have an issue with that. Um, that's something that I felt like we should have leaned on a little bit more throughout the game. And I agree with you on Corbin and Ward are the guys. Todd Philly just didn't get it going that day. He wasn't in the rhythm. So you got to roll with the two guys that had a big week for us last week. They're hot. And the bad for this, man, it's a lot of bad. The drops, the inconsistency, and shoot, from play calling to guys not being prepared, and then a lot of guys I don't feel like were put in the right situation. Like what happened at the end of the game when they scored, that can't happen. That can't happen. Worst case scenario, if you got to have them kick a field goal, go and prevent whatever the case may be, that's what you got to roll with. But to give up that score late like that, 97 yards, like you said, man, that's bad and ugly. And you lose the game like that when you're a program like we keep saying, like 3-6 last year. And the scariest part for me, you just said it. Do we keep Travis Hunter? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the good you have to go with the run game, and there's some things even in the run game that I was watching that I put some clips inside fifth quarter that aren't that are still promising. They're not like 100% there, but like you see double team, basically a simple double team with the guard going up to the linebacker, the center taking the D tackle, guard going up to the linebacker. Some people call it a scoop block, and they just don't get off of the double team, and the linebacker comes in. But the running back I think Ward made a good run, made a miss. But if we pick that up, it's a crease right down the middle of the field, and there's nobody there. So like you can see that it's like almost there, like it's close. Then you've got so that's the good. The bad is Um, the bad. I'll go bad, ugly, and ugliest. Um, the bad is the fact that you just did something that you did something that's never been done in program history, and it's not a good thing. You lost to a subpar team. No matter what, we're never this bad. And the ugly is what does this do for recruiting? So I'm gonna bring up one thing, and then I'm gonna go to the ugliest. And this is just this is the problem. And this isn't like attacking anybody because it's multiple comments in it. And I know you guys are great people. I've met so many of you, but like it's just not true. But the ugly is what's going to happen with recruiting. My man Devin put this up here. It's scary to think that none of the quarterbacks he brought in seem to be remotely ready to contribute in the near future. Nothing to look forward to at the most important position on the field in the immediate future. So we have Chuba Purdy, we have Tate Rodemaker, who at best are a few years away. At worst, will probably not be in this program if things continue to progress. So that means those are two quarterbacks that you brought in that might not be here before 4 years. So basically, we whiffed on the quarterback position since 2018, I guess. So 18 um Blackman came in, I believe. Or no, Blackman came in at 17. 17 was when DeAndre got hurt. 18, 19 was when tag was five. So basically 18, 19, 20, and if we don't get Duffy, that's 4 years of not signing a high school quarterback that's relevant to your program. We brought in I can't think of the quarterback from Wisconsin a few years ago, but he didn't do anything. That has nothing to do with this staff. But you brought in Milton this year, and if this is if this is supposed to be a stat game. Like this is supposed to be the game that gets you like through it. It that you can sleepwalk through. You shouldn't sleepwalk through, but you should, but you can. And that's what it's supposed to be. And I don't know. I mean, if this is it, right? Then I'm afraid of what the season's gonna be. They could get in and correct it, but I'm just saying that ain't it, in my opinion. This product that we saw ain't it. And you've got a lot of guys that are about to get some talking to, and you've got to have a spark next week. Now, the ugliest is the excuses that are made that don't have the same energy. Like either you're gonna have a standard or you're gonna make excuses. And it's no short week. They're shorter weeks. There are teams that play on a Saturday and they come on and play a game on Thursday. Like there's there's a whole bunch of things that go into effect. Like yes, it was a physical game, but you know that you prepare for that. You have to be mentally ready. That's why to be honest with you, that's why you schedule this game. You play the Notre Dame and then you play the FCS school. You pay them the money so that you don't have a loss. It's simple. But here's what can I be honest? Can I be transparent
Yeah,
on
keep it
this?
real.
We live in a climate in America where everybody wants to win everything, like every argument. There's no room for discussion. There's no room for discourse there's no room for people get locked into a thought process and don't even allow for critical thinking or to be influenced at all. You say this is red and you 100% everything is red. You say it's blue, and you think everything is blue. When sometimes shit is green, sometimes it's yellow. I say this to say people had every right to be angry about how we were losing and the standard not being upheld with the last coaching staff. The attitude in which people took though with that was truly sophomorish, unprofessional, and not becoming to a program that is one of the top dogs in it. And we ended up doing something that at the time was was not practical, nor was it even like didn't even make sense. I know because the rumors were started after the Boise game. You literally talked about firing a coach after his first year in, and you fired him 18 games in. So you fire him in the middle of the season, and I'm gonna tell you, this is the only time that colleges do this. You only fire somebody in the middle of the season when you have somebody, and you missed, and we didn't have that person solidified. So you don't fire until you know you have the replacement at least. But you fired, which is fine. It's fine. And then we had to make a hire. And instead of just kind of as a fan base saying, okay, yeah, there's never in the history of press conferences has anybody ever said, oh, we missed our first four guys and then we hired this guy. It's always we hired the guy that we were always going for. That's neither here nor there, though, because, again, I don't believe Mike Norvell's a bad coach. I just know he wasn't the first guy we wanted to hire. You don't fire a coach in the middle of the season to hire a group of five guy that you allow to finish his season. You fire your coach and then you say, hey, if you want this job, you better bring your ass over here so we can start recruiting. That's how big boys work. Now, the firing happened. We can't. Mike don't. It ain't Mike's fault that it happened. Mike is the coach, and he's a damn good coach. It's just not translating right now. But the people who came with such trolls and vitriol, and you know it was not the right way to handle business, can't handle the fact that you might have been wrong. Not in that situation, but that this hire might not happen, and you're afraid that people are going to do the same shit to you that you did to other people. And you're making excuses for not upholding the standard anymore when you did make those same excuses 2 years ago. It wasn't acceptable 2 years ago, and it's not acceptable now. We have to be consistent. And when people have said there are similarities, all you have done is dug deep. And again, you have divided the fan base. The fan base is unified on wins, man. This program was built from the mud. The reason why people hate us is because we are not a blue blood. We forced ourselves to become a blue blood. Go look at the top 25 over the history of the last 60, 70 years. You're going to see consistently the same people. But in the 80s, something changed. Florida State and Miami consistently became in that. We forced our way into something that we did not belong into, and it's because we did not accept losing and we did not accept bullshit. If you didn't accept the bullshit 2 years ago, don't accept the bullshit now. Be consistent, be who you are. Don't get it twisted red or blue, and it doesn't mean that you don't like somebody. Be a fucking adult. The man makes $5 million a year. Trust me, he can take critique. He's a big boy. The players can take critique, and if they can't, this ain't the place for you because it's a fishbowl. You'll melt you'll melt from the heat if you can't take it. And the reason why I say that is because you call the lost decade a team that actually won fucking championships. But you want to come over here and coddle people. You fired the man who built your fucking program. That's the fan that you are. You better embrace that shit. And that doesn't mean that, and I'm gonna tell admin, that don't mean you listen to these motherfuckers. That just means that the fan base is rabid because that's who we are. But the reality is this, man. Y'all gotta stop that shit. Be consistent or don't be consistent or shut the fuck up. And let the people who know what they're talking about talk about it. Because the standard is the standard. Is the standard, is the standard, and the standard is over everything. And as RID said, which he hid behind, 6-6 ain't the standard. So if 6-6 ain't the standard, 3-6 ain't the standard, and losing to an FCS is not the standard either. That being said, you have to give a coach 3 to 4 years to bring his guys in and build it. And it did look different last week. I don't know what the fuck that was, but I do know what the fuck that was. That was being swayed by a fan base that fell in love with a story, and it's a phenomenal story, and he's a phenomenal person. And we did not put or consistently or as a not saying because I don't believe one quarterback should be the starter. I believe you need to figure out a way until we get this thing comfortable to do a true dual threat thing. Maybe it's not possible, but I do know this: 133 yards is not it. One interception again that was a terrible pick. Oh, he eyed him down the whole time. But the light on the end of the tunnel, my bad, is this. And now, granted, Michigan hasn't won a national championship in a while. Michigan lost to App State, and Michigan never like fell all the way back. Florida lost. Florida's not that many years away from losing to Georgia Southern. It's unfortunate. You don't want it to happen, but people do this, man. And you can't let 1 week turn into 12. 1 week of misery turn into 12 weeks. You got to figure it out. You got to dig deep, and you got to go out there and put it on Wake Forest. I think we play Wake Forest next week, right?
Yeah, I think
you got to go out there and put it. You got to go out there and put it on Wake Forest. Then you got to go out there and put it on Louisville. The week after that, you got to dig. You have to come out there. And I'm going to say something that I remember Peter Ward said in the locker room before the Miami game in which Tag was fired. Do you love your coach? Do you believe all those words in which these beat writers wrote all the last 2 years when they were taking their shots and their trolls and not reporting what they were supposed to report? Do you love your teammates? Is it really different? Is it that? Because the only difference I see is that we had a moral victory and then we lost. We had the worst loss in program history. But there is historic precedent of people pulling themselves up. Oh, my bad. And even it wasn't necessarily an FCS loss, but LSU was ready to fire Coach O when he lost to Troy. And then they come back, finish the season strong, and they go to a bowl game. I think Tennessee, even though they ended up firing Pruitt, Tennessee loses to Georgia State, goes on a run. Things happen, man. Pick your head up. We're going to talk about you because we got to talk about the product. Still love for Florida State. They can still salvage this thing and do some stuff. But man, if you play like that, you may go defeated.
Facts. We definitely have to figure it out. And Wake going to Wake next week. That's going to be a big one. And Wake ain't sweet, so we're gonna have to find a way to get us a win, to change the course of the season, and have some type of hope. Especially after tonight, they can't, like you said, they can't let one bad game turn into 12 of them. So we got to find a way to get us a win next week. It is what it is. Y'all gonna watch film probably tomorrow and Monday, but y'all got to find a way. The game plan got to be Wake Forest is a must win now. Y'all got to find a way to get a win. It is what it is. Y'all lost. but we got to get a win against Wake.
Got to, man. Well, hey, at the end of the day, we're the media, fans of the fans. The coaches got to. Everybody has a job to do. Coaches got to coach. Players got to play. Media talks about what happens from their opinion, and the fan gets to consume both. And you got to figure out if you want to listen to the noise. Please don't do this. This is what I hate. What happens when people after stuff like this? We got to block out the media. We got to block out the noise. We're gonna come in and do man bullshit. Just go out there and play because when you're on that field, you can't really hear anything audible anyway. So, but again, all love to the guys. All love to Seminole Nation. I want to say I do appreciate um, everybody that donated tickets or monies to the kids that came to the game. We ended up having about 300. We had Jefferson County football team came out. They got a chance to enjoy that. Oak Ridge Elementary School, I think we had about 135, 140 elementary school kids come out of that. We had some kids from Rudiger Elementary School. We had some randoms. And then this is the one that I was the most proud of. We had about 35 teachers from Ed White High School in Jacksonville that came over and made the drive that they came in. So those are just some of the big groups that your tickets went to your donated tickets. I believe we had about I think it was like roughly just under 100 donated tickets, and then we had over 200 tickets bought through donations and raising. Obviously, if you don't want to go to the Louisville game, I'll find some people who do want to go to it. I can firmly and 100% understand it and respect it. Thanks to everybody who went to my concession stand. We're still raising money for MFTK Foundation. MFTK Foundation is not dependent upon FSU season because these kids do need to get influence, man. But I guess I just wanted to say because this was the game, appreciate everybody and man, if the Louisville game is at night, we will have a tailgate, but I don't know. But you got anything, Freddie?
Now that's it for me. I'm gonna go back and watch this film and check this game out again and see, take a look at a few things and see because you see the game and what we always say sometimes it's not as bad as you thought. Sometimes it's not as good. So I gotta see it. But from what I seen, it was bad. So I gotta go back and look at the film and see if there are any positive to take away from that game outside of the running game, of course.
Bet, man. All right. Well, until Wednesday, this is Inside Drills where we gotta take on the hard hitting stuff. You can't shy away from contact, even if it don't feel good. So we'll see you guys later. Y'all be blessed.